smile. No. They want me to smile on there, right? Cheesing. But I'm excited to be on YouTube Live. I'm finally able to live stream on YouTube, so that's exciting. Right? So much love to YouTube and their platform. So I'm excited. So I've been thinking about what it is I'm gonna do next. I alternate between a lot of different stuff. I no longer have a normal 9 to 5 or so. I have a few other things in the works. I have my gaming channel going on. I have some blog articles. I have some events on astrotheology actually going on. So if you want to actually check out the page on Facebook, Astrotheology, Shamanism, and Yoga on Facebook, you can scope that out as well. You can actually get tickets on there. And I don't believe I included a price in the tickets for the time being, because it's just going to be a real basic online lesson. So I'll leave some links actually in the description below. Tell you how to actually get to that page on my Facebook and how to actually get to the payment page and the page to actually book online bookings. It says on there that it's for events that are only to take place in person. However, I put a disclaimer, or whatever you want to call it, on there to show that it's online, right? So it's online. So I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to start off doing a tarot reading for now, and then I might maybe get into some other stuff alongside this. I actually made a really nice discovery yesterday in the book, The Picatrix, that I'd like to actually share on here. If I can find it. See if I can find it real quick. I have to actually look to see what it is. That I discovered, because it's actually a sync between the Picatrix and some other occult knowledge. I actually just let it run for a second to see if I get anybody to watch. But we'll stick to the tarot reading for right now. I actually had posted it, like I mentioned, on my other page on Facebook, what it was I was talking about. have a like on here. Excited. I was actually reading some things on Gemini this morning and about positive and aspects in each and every sign. I guess that's something I could talk about as I'm doing this. A lot of times individuals will look at signs and they'll place them all together. I guess that's something like 101, astrology 101 I could talk about. A lot of times when people start talking astrology, a lot of times they tend to place the positive and the negative aspects together without separating them, right? Now, what you really want to do is you actually want to place, what positive traits each sign has and what negative traits each sign has. Is actually a better way to go about doing that. Like, for example, some negative traits of me, of an Aquarius, being Saturnian and of Uranus. A lot of times we can tend to be, some negative traits would be like to be selfish, right? So if you ever meet like an Aquarius and they don't have any virtue that an Aquarius has, you'll find these people oftentimes to be of a very selfish nature, right? Now, the opposite of that, of a virtue, of the vice of an Aquarius, of a person that's of a Saturnian and Uranian descent, will have the opposite, which will be a more giving nature. However, this can also be actually, ironically, can kind of turn into a vice of an Aquarius as well. And some other aspects of these Aries signs, say Aquarius and Gemini, right? These are opposite signs, right? And the body parts relating to these individuals are the arms and the legs. And that's interesting because these are, in a way on the human body, opposites of each other, right? So if you look at an Aquarius, they typically have long legs. And if you look at a Gemini, an individual born in Gemini, they have long arms, right? And that's because Geminis, they're talkers, right? They love to talk, right? And if you ever meet a Gemini, they love to talk and they have long arms and they like to, express themselves using motions with their hands. So if you ever meet a Gemini, try to pay attention to a Gemini. They'll use their hands a lot and their arms a lot to talk. Right? So this is a trait of Gemini. Now, Gemini's negative traits tend to be a lot of times would be of a lying nature in a negative sense, but in a positive aspect, they're very loving, very forthcoming, very giving people in a virtuous aspect. But if you get on a Gemini's bad side, woe to you, right? We'll start off, I'll do a daily tarot reading, for example. And here we have the King of Cups reversed, okay? King of Cups reversed. Now here you have an individual that is sitting on a throne, they have seemingly all the knowledge, right? They're sitting on their throne. They have a torch. They're carrying a torch. Okay, they're the torch bearer, right? It's the individual with the card right side up. They're carrying the flame and the cup with them. They have the cup of knowledge. They're able to receive knowledge and they're able to give knowledge, right? That's the King of Cups. But reversed, however, this is an individual that has no knowledge, right? They have no knowledge and they're not able to communicate the knowledge either. So this could be a card in respects to today where maybe individuals are feeling maybe perhaps unable to communicate in a way that they want to get their point across, okay? So maybe today, like feeling kind of lethargic, maybe the mind sort of foggy. You're not really able to get your point across that you want to communicate in a way that's able to be receptive by others. Okay? So, I was just talking about actually about Aquarius and Gemini, though. I'll do the reading. I had a point I wanted to make that I posted yesterday. It had to do with astrotheology. So, okay, we'll read from this book a little bit before I go into the tarot. It's the tablet of 11, okay, Aquarius symbol. A stormy sea is seen above the 8 stars shine brilliant and clear. Okay, and this is actually the 8 stars. If you actually look, if I'm not mistaken, this actually has to do with the water snake. And this tablet symbolizes the complete materialization of man perfect. The perfect on the earth and the Lord thereof, insofar material forces are concerned. The storm is the tempest, the live the world of the elements of matter and their battle with spirit. The 8 stars brilliant now, for they are the same stars that were dimly seen in Gemini. So remember how I just spoke how Aquarius and Gemini are of opposite aspects. Okay, so think of Aquarius and Gemini like being far across from each other with similar natures, but the reason why their natures are similar but also different is because they're similar because they're across from each other, but they don't really mesh well because they are of the same nature. That makes sense. But there are some aspects in which Gemini and Aquarius do mesh well together, even though they're both air signs. Now, a lot of people say Aquarius is a watery sign, but it's actually an air sign. The 8 stars brilliant now, for they are the same stars that were dimly seen in Gemini, show that the conquest of matter is complete. The great fall of spirit finished the end of evolution, and this would bring stagnation and death if peace now ensued. The lesson taught is that not in peace and rest can the soul grow, but amidst the earthquakes that shake thrones, the floods that overwhelm countries, the fires that reduce to ashes, has a strong man soul grown to its present state and power. So fear not the storm, but the calm, not the unrest, but the quiet. Fear not the battle, but the ignoble peace of the coward. Right? O child of Adam, the astral soul must learn to do and dare. Not over the brave man's grave shall it be written, rest in peace, but I will arise and go to my Father. Now this doesn't mean a blood father. Okay, this doesn't mean any relative. Right? Now what this means is that an Aquarius learns by making mistakes and moving forward and actually being able to rise from the friction created within their own turmoil is what this means. It's just like you can't have a fire without a spark, right? You can't have a fire without a spark. You can't have a fire without a flint, right? So a good card that actually goes with Aquarius actually is Temperance. All right, and the reason why this goes well with Aquarius because this is a card about balance, which is also Gemini in nature, but Aquarius is about balancing those forces that whirl up within, but in creating the temperance because you have the stream, right? You have the stream right there that's kind of a nature of elements being combined together to bring about light, right? So temperance is a card of Aquarius and Gemini. Now, a little bit more about Gemini. The reason why some people will say Geminis have this dual nature a lot of times because they often battle with these two natures within themselves, this storm, right? This tempest, this storm that's within themselves, that's in everybody to a degree, you know, with in regards to like as a vice and a virtue, right? He, Taurus, bending lies with threatening uh, head and calls the twins Gemini to rise. They clasp for fear and mutually embrace. Right, so this is about uh, Gemini is actually taking a step in a direction that's different to them. Okay, this is about a Gemini because if you often notice, if you meet a Gemini, sometimes they'll have, you know, these doubts. You know, these doubts about what it is they should do to like keep a straight line and keep going towards a goal because they are an air sign like an Aquarius. Aquarius will have oftentimes the same exact I don't want to say problems, but the characteristics. Okay, so in an Aries sign, this has often become a way in which is gonna be directed towards something that's gonna be pliable on the earth, but be grounded, right? The bright constellation Castor and Pollux Gemini is spiritually representative of the second spiritual action. Hence, it is, of course, a masculine sign and positive. We have witnessed Act 1 of the soul's drama, and as some have said, tragedy, and this the third of the Shining 12. We find the opening scene of Act 2 vis-a-vis the evolution of the twin souls, or more correctly, the differentiation of the divine soul into these two natural component parts. So this is actually the point uh, where the actual non-animal body splitting down into the animal body, right? I've explained this actually on previous posts. So this is the point where the souls, it says the involution of the soul. Okay, this is the point where you're descending through the sine wave, and it's at this point that you're breaking from the higher mind, right, of Aries and Taurus and Cancer. Okay, down into material matter. Okay, this is basically the point where it splits, and that's why it's Gemini. That's why they're of dual nature. Okay, that's why they're of dual nature. So if you look at a Gemini, and they seem to have like two different types of personalities, right? You'll often meet Geminis that have two different types of personalities. If you know Geminis, pay attention to them. Not saying it's good or bad or anything. Not saying like to watch them closely. I'm just saying this is like the nature of a Gemini. And I want to also reiterate, a lot of times when people do these astrological signs, that they'll just like bunch all these individuals up together, right? They'll put together the positive and the negative aspects. So that's why a lot of times when you read this stuff, it doesn't make any sense. Like, okay, well, how's a person that has, Mars in the third house, or whatever, Mars in the third house gonna have the same aspects as a person with Mars in the 10th house, right? How are they gonna have the same aspects, right? And it's because, well, they have the same aspects because they have a planet in the first house that's gonna balance out the equation, right? It's gonna balance out the equation. So sometimes you're not always gonna see individuals that are gonna have the same exact natures because they were just born in the same season, right? Since you have masculine and feminine aspects in each of the planets and the houses themselves each have positive and negative aspects as well, masculine and feminine as well. You have to essentially take that into account, that it's going to actually um, give other individuals different characteristics, right? But most typically speaking, in the most typical sense, most people born out of the same houses are going to have very much the same attributes, right? The sun's in Gemini, the sun's in Gemini, and most Geminis a lot of times are going to have a lot of the same traits. But if they have, Saturn in, the fourth or fifth house, or as opposed to the sixth or the seventh house, right? Say they have Saturn, a Gemini. Say you have for example, a Gemini, and they have Saturn in Aquarius, right, in the house of Aquarius, as opposed to a Saturn with, our Gemini with the Saturn in Aries, right? The person that's a Gemini with Saturn in Aries might lack courage, right? They might lack courage, whereas a person that's a Gemini with Saturn and Aquarius is going to be more deceitful, right? Things like that, for example, right? Yeah, I'm just kind of getting warmed up here for the day. It's how I warm up. Now I'm going to go ahead and just quickly do the daily tarot reading of 5 cards. Sorry, 6 cards. So our base card is going to be the 4 of Wands. Okay. And the 4 of Wands, by looking at it, this represents a balance between the 2 hemispheres of the brain. Okay, being masculine and feminine. Now you can actually look at this as, in a way, also in the zodiac, signs being parallel to one another. Right. But this represents the kingdom, right, and fruitfulness, right? Because you have here the kingdom above, behind the 2 individuals that are masculine and feminine, right? So today is going to be about balancing out. It seems to be a motif, balancing out positive and negative aspects within oneself in order to rise to one's own true calling in life, right? Then you have the 2 of Wands. Right, so we have another wand card. Okay. Now, in the Two of Wands, you have an individual holding a stick, right? They're holding a wand, and they're not quite sure if they're heading into the right direction. So this could mean perhaps maybe like you're thinking about a decision, right? You have a decision, and you seem to have already made the decision to go forward, to do what it is that you're going to do, but you're not quite sure if it's the right decision, right? There's still some doubt about it. Okay. You have the Five of Cups reversed. Okay, this is actually a gain of consciousness. Okay. It's a gain of consciousness as opposed to a loss of consciousness. You have the Queen of Wands, right? You have the Queen of Wands. This represents actually having made the choice despite being told what the negative benefits were. You've made the choice anyways. You're sure in the decision that you made despite the signs of being told that it was a bad decision. You went ahead and you done it anyways. Right? You've done it anyways, but you're good because you still got the kingdom, right? You still got the kingdom. So you're good, right? You have temperance. Okay, you have temperance, which at this point, despite everything that's going on with turmoil, you still manage to maintain a degree of your spiritual awakeness, and you're balancing out the turmoil, right? But you're fully conscious. You're fully conscious, being 100% conscious in Christ consciousness, right? You're fully conscious, right? Then you have Nine of Cups. Okay, what this represents is instead of going on, maybe you had plans, right? You had plans, right? You were going to go somewhere, right? You were going to go do something, you had some plans going, and they didn't work out, so now you're back to where you were, and you're no longer able to execute the plans that you wanted to execute, right? You're no longer able to execute the plans. All right, so that is today's reading. I'm going to go over a little bit actually of the mansions though, from the Picatrix. Now, a lot of people will say that this is an evil book. Not a lot of people, but some people will look at this book and they'll say, this is the evil book. Okay. And the way to break down these mansions is there's 28 mansions. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 7. 1, 2, 3, 8. So 28 mansions. 3, 1, 2. Now, what's interesting about this book is how they're dividing the mansions up, right? Into 28 mansions of the moon instead of the sun. As opposed to houses now, typically you have in each house, there's a mansion, right? So it's breaking it down into 28 mansions. So 3, 12, the way this is working is basically you have a house, and in each house you have three mansions, right? So it's interesting the way this book's been broken down. That's why I say, like, when you read books, that they've been mutilated so much that there's been knowledge lost, right? Because there's 12 houses, right? There's 12 houses in the zodiac, right? And in each house you have mansions. You're supposed to have, I call them dodecas, right? Dodecahedrons, right? And you had three dodecahedrons within each sign of the zodiac, right? That are 10 degrees each, right? So it's interesting the way this is kind of broken down into the different mansions of the moon, because you only have it being broken down into 18 mansions. I'm sorry, not 18, but 24. Oh, actually, 28. I'm sorry. As it says right here clearly, 28. So what's interesting about that is how it actually breaks down. So I'll actually be researching this. I'm actually going to go ahead and research this later, why it only breaks down to 28 mansions in the moon as opposed to 38, right? Why is it not 38? Why is it 28 and not 38, right? So why is it that the sun's 38 and the sun's 38 and the moon's 28, right? So that's a question that you kind of like start researching, right? You start to research stuff and you're like, okay, you should kind of ask this question, right? Why is there only 28 mansions on the moon, right? So then you're gonna go and research Pliny, right? We're gonna go research Pliny. Why is there only 28 mansions, right? That don't really make any sense. But if you look at the Bible, though, this is where I get into kind of syncretizing things with the Bible, right? Because in the Bible it says, my Father has many mansions, right? That's what it says. In my Father's house there's many mansions. That's what it says in the Bible. So that's how I research, and that's how I research, and that's how I learn. So I'm kind of showing you how to actually go about doing research, right? And I learn as well going through and doing things of this nature. I learn like this as well, going through. So I hope you like the channel. I hope you like the tarot readings. I'm going to be researching this a little bit today and going through and see actually what I can come up with in regards to that question that I asked, because it's always good to ask questions, right? You always want to ask questions. Anything you research, you always want to ask questions. All right. Well, thank you. I hope everybody enjoyed the readings, and I will be trying to do more live sessions, and then I have a live YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Have a great day.